I did $20,000 on that particular webinar. I spent $300 and got 10,000 followers back in a 24-hour window. I'm looking at $756 per $15,000 sale. Will you spend $756 to make 15 grand? Yeah, I guess you will.
Beautiful. Awesome, Josue. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really, really appreciate it. I guess for me and the audience, can you please give us a small rundown of your story and sort of what you're currently working on? And then from there, we'll probably jump into what I find most interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So I am originally from Dominican Republic, and I started this whole social media thing not because I wanted to become a professional, not because I wanted to become an entrepreneur, but because I wanted to become a professional soccer player. So I know it's a weird transition, but for me, it was really all about that. NDR obviously not going to find me for soccer. So I'm like, I'm going to grow my social media to then get a pro contract and then go from there. So that's kind of like how that happened. And yeah, so funny enough, in 2016, it actually worked. And I did get the chance to be a pro in the United States, but I decided to not pursue that and focus on business instead. So that's like kind of like the beginning stages of, in short, how that happened.
Interesting. And from 2016 to now, so in the last 7 years, what has that journey been like?
Oof. It's been a lot of ups and downs, like the typical, the entrepreneur journey, like a lot of people. And but 2016, my first paying client was $3,500 a month. Still remember him. His name was Tim Gu, and September 13th, 2016 was the first paying client. And then first year we did like 100K or something. And then 2018, in the first 9 months, did over 1 million. And that was the first, yeah, it was crazy. By September 2018, that year I did over 1 million, ended the year like a 1.6 or 1.2, something like that. Then the next year started off very well, but then lost it all, got into debt, and ended up working as a cashier in a gas station. So that was 2019. That happened all the way to 2020. Pandemic happened. I was working in the gas station when the pandemic hit. And then July 2020, I quit that job and then moved in with a couple of friends in Miami. That was a big leap of faith because rent was 5 grand a month. I had 15K saved up, so it was like literally 2-3 months worth of savings to figure this thing out. I'm glad I did, and then things went back up. And then 2021, first 6 months, we did over 1 million, and then things just been growing ever since. So yeah. So that's like full scope.
That's insane. From 2018 to 2019, when you made like 1 million, 1.2 million, how did you lose it all in such a short time? What was the main mistakes?
Yeah, that was a lot of stupid decisions. When you make a lot of money very quickly, you don't know what to do with it. And you go partying, traveling, renting Lambos, doing this and that. So that was one side. The other side was I lost focus on the main thing. So what was producing me the most amount of money was my Instagram agency. I was working with a lot of big names and Alex Becker and Greg Cardone and Lady Boss. I was speaking on Hormozy with Alex Hormozy on his stage. So it's like a lot of big names back then were coming into the picture. And it was like literally just word of mouth. Like I was just good at what I did. Nobody was competing in this space. And I was just taking pretty much all the market share. And then 2019 comes, I'm like, okay, I'm so good at this. I am a serial entrepreneur. I'm going to start multiple companies and do all these different things. So that's what I did. And that was a bad decision. So it diverted my focus and from the main thing. And I ended up losing a lot of money. So yeah.
In 2023, is Instagram growth still a thing?
So not the same way that it was obviously in 2018 or 2019. So the reach is down kind of, but if you're not already doing it, it doesn't really matter. So it doesn't really matter on the sense that I don't like even before I didn't focus on growth. I focus on conversion. So acquiring customers. People see Instagram as like a platform just to flash or followers or whatever. I see Instagram as a platform to acquire customers. I don't care if you have 10,000 followers or you have 1 million. Like there was an article that came out like a girl with 3 million followers cannot sell 36 t-shirts. Meanwhile, I have clients that are with 2,000 followers making 100 grand a month. So it's like the amount of followers doesn't matter. It's like what you do with them that does. So that's the main thing.
So when you talk about acquiring customers on Instagram, what does that mean? Does it mean just DMing all your followers? Does it mean sort of building a list, like getting emails from all your followers? What do you mean by turning your followers into customers?
Yeah. So to do that, you need a system. I personally you can do it with obviously, e-commerce, but I personally like better dealing with influencers or personal brands and then selling a digital product or a high ticket service attached to them. So for example, if you are a fitness trainer, right? Fitness is huge on Instagram, fitness trainers, personal trainers, whatever. Now, a lot of them, what they do is they sell a $10 ebook. You will need to sell a heck of a lot of ebooks to even make any money. Instead, just sell one-on-one coaching or something like that. And you can sell those for like $1, $2, $3,000 a pop, and you end up making a ton of money like that. So typically the sales process for those, you don't sell them on DMs, or you typically book calls to sell them on the booked appointment, right? Or on the Zoom call. So that's what works really, really well. You can obviously sell digital products like straight up courses. You can obviously also pack your webinars. There's a lot of people packing your webinars. Actually, the first digital product that I ever sold on Instagram was through a webinar. I had a webinar coach back in 27, well, no, end of 2016, December 29th, 2016, actually, to the day. And I did $20,000 on that particular webinar. And I didn't even know what I was doing, but I did pack the webinar with like 2,500 people. So, yeah. And like, it cost me like marketing dollars, like $500 or $800, which is insane because the cost per lead is super low. So, yeah, like that's what I like the most about Instagram. It's like driving traffic to offers and using it in a way where it's very, very profitable. And ideally to sell a digital product or a high ticket service is the best way to do it.
Interesting. And when you sort of jump on all these big accounts, I'm assuming you then start DMing their followers. How do you sort of organize which of their followers to DM? Because you can't tell what country they're from, if they're private, if they have X amount of followers. You don't want to sort of DM their friends as well, because that might be awkward.
Yeah, so I don't do outbound. Well, you can when you're starting out, but I don't do outbound. Like I'm not going out there and spending 15 hours a day DMing people randomly. I could, and I'll make money from it, but that's a lot harder approach. So just like dating, it's like you don't want to look like a desperate guy that just walks up to any random girl in the bar and just try to get their number. Like you're gonna look desperate and it's not gonna work. So what you want to do instead is position yourself as high status. And Instagram is like growing your following, having good content, having a good content cadence, knowing what to post, when to post it, how to communicate, like presenting what you're offering to the world in a good way. And then if you're starting from zero, you can just simply run Instagram ads. It's like you don't need followers. Like run simple Instagram story ads, to be more specific, that send people back to your page, and people that are interested are going to DM you instead. So and you from there can create a simple automation where you ask for the name and email, even phone number if you want to. And then from there, you just take the conversation out. Now it's inbound, now outbound. So it's like people that are coming to you because they're interested in what you have to offer. And it's a lot easier to sell. And if you're a fitness trainer, you're not having no longer to outbound fat people and try to convince them to lose weight and have a six pack. They're coming to you because they're interested in what you have to offer in the first place. So it becomes a lot easier to sell. And that's the reason why I prefer that approach, where you position yourself as the authority or as the expert in any niche. People come to you, you spend money on marketing, and then you're able to get a disproportionate return on ads because you're selling a high ticket product or service or a digital course, right? So it's your cost to deliver whatever it is that you're selling is very low. And the only cost you really have is ads. So that's the way I like to do it.
When you were sort of working with like Alex Becker and Lady Boss, how were you sort of building the cadence around their Instagram feed? Because nowadays we see all those e-com gurus running these stories, swipe up, DM e-com, you go to their page, there's a bunch of supercars, Rolexes, they're in Dubai, and that seems to be working. But like I remember back in the days, Alex Becker didn't do that and he still crushed it.
Yeah. So back in the day, I learned, so here's something funny. Back in 2018, what I didn't know how to do was growth. I did not know how to sell, like, or convert the followers into dollars, but Alex Becker did. And Lady Boss did, right? Because they already had a conversion system that was working for them and they just needed more traffic. And I just had more traffic. So, and what happened with them specifically was that they were so good at what they were doing that I learned by watching them and just by seeing what they were doing, right? So it was kind of funny that we're paying me and I was learning from them in the process. So that's kind of how that worked. But in their scenario, for example, they already had a machine that was working that converted customers, and all they needed was more traffic, right? So I did come up with like the Instagram story webinar. It's like the whole ecom guru thing is like they just do a bunch of stories and then at the end they pitch. Like the first person that did it in our space, at least that I know of, was me. I introduced it to Alex Becker. He would just take, a minute of his day, do a couple stories, boom, and he will just make 30 grand that day. Same thing with Lady Boss. So that's what I did very, very well. And I just took the Russell Brunson webinar and just condensed it in like 1 or 2 minutes just to put it on Instagram stories. That's what I did on that front. And it worked really, really well. Most of the clients that crushed it really, really well that were already big for me and that put me on the map, if you will, in 2018, already had a machine, already had a successful business, and they just wanted more traffic. And they saw Instagram as a platform that back then was virgin, that nobody was like, or nobody was using it in this way, or very few people. And they just, the first person that talked about it was me. I'm like, hey, okay, like this guy knows what he's doing, knows how to grow. Okay, cool. Like he can bring more traffic. So that's how that happened.
Interesting. In today's day and age, Jose, what funnel do you feel like works the best? Like, is the main thing still Instagram, run story ads, swipe up, DM, message, get them to book in a call, and on the 45-minute sort of strategy session, sort of sell them a coaching program, high ticket program? Does that still work? Is that still the best way? Or have you like even transitioned and thought about other social media platforms?
So there's multiple things that work on Instagram today. That works extremely well still to this day, like really, really well. Something that I'm seeing recently come back to surface is webinars. It's been like 1 or 2 years that, I mean, the traditional webinar style that you pitch a 500 to $1,000 to $2,000 product, that seemed to go down in terms of conversions over the last, let's say, 2 years. This year is like coming up, or like I would say since the middle of last year to now, it's coming back of like super, super hard. So like there's people out there that are like making like $250,000 a week just from live webinars. Like they do one live webinar a week. That's it. They just run Instagram shoutouts or Instagram ads to an opt-in page. They pack the webinar out and they just pitch on the webinar, and that's all they do. And it works really, really well for them. So like that's that approach. And then there is also the ebook approach. Like there's ways to do ebooks. I bash, but there is ways to do low ticket products very, very well. And it's what we call like late night infomercials. So just like traditional TV has infomercials and it's literally just ads. You can do something similar on Instagram. The main thing with that is like you need to make sure that during the day you have a good content cadence that's non-salesy and it's straight up value that increases engagement. And then at night, let's just say 6 p.m., 9 p.m., 12, 1, like 1 to 5 a.m., whatever, you're just having auto posts that go out that are straight up promotional material. That is like, hey, click link in bio if you want XYZ. Click link in bio if you want XYZ. And if you have somewhat of a decent following, you're going to wake up every day with like $1,000 that you made throughout the night without doing any work. So yeah,
That
on a
is
$47 thing.
that is so freaking cool. And Jose, does the Instagram shoutouts, do those still work? Can you like go to like a motivational page and be like, hey, I want to pay you $300 shout out at Pena, and sort of tell them, hey, like send at Pena a DM if you want to learn how to do X, Y, and Z? And would you be getting cheaper DMs compared to swipe up sort of ads?
It depends. So they're like shout outs still work for sure. They are not as effective as before because obviously, like everything, marketers ruin it. The more people that use it, the less effective it is. But they still work. So what I would say is that the problem that people have when it comes to shout outs is that they try to treat it as the same way as it was a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, and it's not. So Instagram ad, you're able to be very specific. You're able to be, hey, I want people from specifically from Austin, Texas, that are over 34 years old and that are only men that are married, right? Like you can be very, very laser specific. Shoutouts is not like that. Shoutouts is you're casting a very wide net with a messaging trying to get people back to your page. So the problem that people face is that they don't understand that. So they don't understand the economics behind it. So I'll just explain it briefly. So let's just say you pay 200 bucks for a shout out on a million follower page, right? You pay 200 bucks, you get back 100 followers, 150 followers, right? Now, 90% of those followers are trash. Like they're just bad. Like they're just Indian people asking you for 100 bucks. Like they're just bad, like straight up bad. Now, the problem is that people don't understand that 10% is actually good. So they focus on the 90%. They're like, oh, all these followers are fake, they're trash, whatever. But I'm like, bro, like you have 10% that are actually good. So like if you have a good content cadence, you're showing up every day, you're providing good quality content on your feed, those 10% are going to see your content and are ultimately going to go back and DM you or click the link in bio and are going to book a call or buy your product. So assuming, right, you're selling a $2,000 thing on a call, you spend 200 bucks. Ultimately, if you're able to get one sale of those 200 bucks, you made a 10x, right? So it's like, that's how the math works. It's not because like the shout outs themselves, which was just the traffic, the content on your page was the thing that warmed people up and actually sold them on you. And if people are not posting consistently, it's not going to work. So that's like where people miss it out. And ultimately is the Instagram ads, you can retarget your followers too. So if somebody lands on your page, you can retarget them with an ad, and then ultimately they're going to come and DM you even more. So it's like you're not just dependent on the algorithm to show the content to the people that you want to. It's like you're putting ads out there to actually get the people to retarget the followers themselves to come back. So it's a very easy thing. Like I posted a video, I think it was yesterday or something. I spent 10 bucks on it or 15 bucks. I have like 200 leads that came. Yeah, on that post itself. It's like I have to double check it, but it's last time I checked, it was like 150 this morning or something like that. I'm gonna double check it right now.
Was
Like,
it,
and I posted it yesterday.
did you boost it a post or what was that $10?
Boosted, yeah.
And then was it boosted to cold traffic or retargeted boost?
Retargeted.
Ah,
158. 158 to be exact. So 158 leads I have over the last day on one single post that I spend $10, $15 on. It's obviously the post is good, it's a good creative, etc. But that's the thing that people don't understand. It's on Instagram, the most important thing is the creative, is the content. It's like if let's just go back to the shout out example. If you spend 200 bucks and you get 200 followers back, it just means your creative got 200 followers back. But if you get a like if you spend the same 200, but then your creative is super good, you will get 1,000 followers back or 2,000. The most I've gotten on a 24-hour window, I spent 300 bucks and got 10,000 followers back in a 24-hour window.
oh.
So, and I spent the same 300, right? That obviously usually doesn't happen. But the most important thing on Instagram is the creative. Like what you're posting as a shout out. Is it engaging? Is it viral? Like, is it like those elements matter? And that's like what people don't understand. They just want to do a shout out and straight up sell when the sell doesn't happen on the shout out. The sell happens on your page. And all you got to do is get people back to your page. And then the sell happens on your page. It's like a hidden funnel, if you will.
Interesting. So is what's happening since you're retargeting, like, you're boosting your posts and you sort of retargeting, and all your followers are people, or the people that end up following are people who landed on your page but they haven't followed you yet, and now they've seen your post again. You might be hitting people that already follow you, but that's okay. But you're sort of mainly focused on people who don't follow you but have seen your page before.
Both. I want to focus on both. Because like if they follow me,
Uh,
means they're interested in me, right? So that's a warmer lead. But they went to my page and didn't follow me. There was something that happened that didn't make them click. So I want to give them another chance to be in front of the face again, right? So that's that.
What do you think would happen if you sort of just boosted all say 100, 200 of your posts with like $1 a day each and just like had that run forever?
You will get a ton. So like we have actually one of our clients, B&B CEOs. He sells an Airbnb program, right? We launched his offer end of November. In December, he did like, I think it was like 125,000 or something. And I mean, all he's doing is obviously posting good quality content that shows his expertise. We're not running any shout outs on his stuff. And actually, no, we've done a couple, a couple shout outs, but it's nothing significant. And then every post, he uploads it, and then he spends $10 to $15 for 2 days, 2 or 3 days. That's it. And then basically what it does is like he's getting 5, 6, 10, 11,000 views on every single one of those posts. And he's not dependent on the algorithm saying, hey, I'm going to show this to this person. No, it's like he's just forcing it to get shown to people. And then ultimately, because of it, he's just getting a ton of traffic back.
And what type of, like, if he's in the Airbnb space, are his posts sort of like 5 ways on how to start an Airbnb business, or is it more lifestyle content showing sort of the fruits of his labor?
Both. 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 Because some people resonate with tips and tricks. Other people want to see the fruits of the labor. So obviously he has like, you know, the Fendi and like showing the proof and the numbers and like, hey, I made $1,000 today or whatever. But then he also has like, hey, 5 tips to become a super host, or 5 tips to make, you know, a luxury Airbnb stay or whatever. So like he has both.
Got it. And then when you guys boost, do you guys usually boost through the Instagram app or like Ads Manager?
I mean, ideally you will use the manager, but if you want to just be super lazy, just boost through the app. So like,
And through the app, can you do retargeting on everyone that's hit your page?
yeah, it says the first choice, it says, like target people like my followers or something.
Oh,
The default one, if you go to boost a post right now, is going to be that.
And isn't that lookalike audiences or is that retargeting?
Both. It's like I want to target people like my followers and my followers. So it's like it's a lookalike audiences from my followers, which is good anyways. It's and your followers. So yeah.
And then why do you guys only let it run for 2 days? Like, what is there diminishing returns if you just let it run forever?
Yeah, it's a diminishing return. So like typically, like if you're gonna do it natively from the app, just let it run for a couple days. But if you're gonna like actually run it as an ongoing ad, then just do it from the business manager. Try not to do it just from boosting it. I mean, I've seen people work. Like I've seen it work just from boosting it, but I think you're gonna get a much better return from the business manager itself.
Got it. That's so freaking cool. What's the sort of average price per DM you sort of look for? Do you do cold traffic at all, or is majority of your success from retargeting?
No, I do cold traffic as well. So, but that's from the business manager. I'm looking per DM or cost per lead or CPL. I'm looking under $17 per DM.
17?
I've seen all the way to 3.
Is it 1 7 or 7 0?
7, no, 1 7, 17. No, 0. I will like no. that will break the bank. 1
Yeah.
7. But I've seen all the way to $3 per DM. That's when things used to go absolutely nuts, and you absolutely need automations and systems and stuff like that to make sure that you know you're able to keep track of that, because that's just stupid. Like if it's $3 per DM, then it's like you spend $100 and you're getting 30 DMs a day. So like that just becomes crazy. So yeah.
When you sort of niche it down to, let's say, United States only, 25 plus, male, do you even need to do any filtering through the DMs, or do you just book everyone through a call?
No, you do. Yeah, you do filtering on the DMs itself, but you don't need filtering on the ad itself. You let the creative do the filtering for you. So what I mean by this is like, let's just say 25 over, male, whatever, and let's just say you're selling the Airbnb course, right? So a very easy filtering tool might be if you have over $10,000 in the bank and you want to learn how to make money with real estate in a way that does not require you to put 20% down on your property. Let me introduce you to rental arbitrage through Airbnb. So basically you're filtering through the creative because you're saying if you have $10,000 in the bank, right? So that's one way to do it. And then the other way to do it is on the DMs themselves, you obviously ask pre-qualifying questions. And in the pre-qualifying questions, you filter through and only book the appointments that are actually worth having. So.
Got it. And I think Since we have a lot of coaches in our audience, a lot of them have the problem where, you let's say you pay $15 per DM, you have like everyone DMs you, probably half of them replies, or let's say 70% of replies. So now your DM, like now it's like $20 per DM or $20 per reply. After maybe 5, 6 messages, maybe 2 people are still talking to you after you sort of sent back and forth messages. So now your CPM, like it's increased by 5x. And now you're looking at around like $100 per sort of reply. Then you book them into a call. Now half of them drop off, so that doubles your cost again. And then you have a 30% shop rate to the people who do book. And then from the 30% that do shop, you have like a 25% close rate. So it just keeps getting more and more expensive as people, like, any tips for that? Like, how do you, like, it's so hard.
Yeah. So cost per acquisition directly on the ad. I'm looking like myself, I'm looking at $756 per $15,000 sale.
Hmm.
So it's like,
Oh,
it's
wow.
still insanely profitable. So it's like, will you spend $756 to make 15 grand? I guess you will. But so that's that side. The second side of that is that you're forgetting that every single person that DMs you, you're also retargeting. Every
Hmm.
single person that DMs you is also seeing your content every single day. Every single person that DMs you, that follows you, that whatever, you're still on top of the radar because you're showing up 30 seconds a day. Like, here's the crazy part. It's like, you don't need to show up a ton. It's like, spend 30 seconds per day, do a freaking Instagram story, post it, and you're done for the work of the day.
Hmm.
Like, for example, I haven't posted on Instagram since Sunday, and I will not have to post until next Sunday. Why? Because I just scheduled it out. It's like now natively on the Instagram app, you can schedule it out and set it and forget it. So every post that's going out, it's just going out automatically without me having to do anything. So that's what I like to do personally. So it's like yes, your cost per acquisition goes up because like you said, you spend $15 per DM, and then half of those people don't respond, so it goes to 30, and then 25% of those actually decide to book a call. So I don't know, 30 divided by 25, that goes to 120. I mean, 120 a call is still very good, but assuming 120 a call, and then half of those don't show up, that goes to 240, and then 25% or 20% conversion rate, that goes to 1,000, right? So 1,000 CPA, but still spending $1,000 to make 3, 4, 5, 6 grand, still a very good ROI. And on top of that, you're building your following and your list on the front end without being on the negative. So there's companies out there that will go in the red just to acquire the lead or the customer or whatever, because they know that the long-term value of that person is a lot higher. So it's like you're building a digital real estate asset that's going to be serving you for years while making money. It's like, I see that as a win.
That makes so much sense. Josue, is there anything that's stopping you from just cranking up the ad spend now that you sort of know your number? It's like 750 for 15K product. What's stopping you going hard on cold traffic and just like pumping up the ad spend?
Yeah, delivery. So the business game, as you know, is a juggling match. It's like you have, I would say, 4 different levers. You have lead generation, you have conversion, you have delivery, and you have upsell. So like each time you push one, the other ones go up, and then eventually they break. And then you have to go little by little fixing each one. So for example, if you crank up lead gen, then the conversion is going to drop because your sales reps are going to be flooded and you're going to have to hire more people. And those people are not going to be as good as your previous sales reps. So you have to train them, and then your conversion is going to tank. And then as you fix conversion, then you're going to close a ton of people, but then your delivery is going to hurt because then you're going to have a ton of clients that you have to deliver to. And then you're going to have to hire more team members and stuff like that to then deliver to those people. And then once you fix that, then your upsell is going to hurt. So it's like you're constantly in this race, or this, you want to call it hamster wheel, juggling, multiple different things and cranking different levers. And at each point, you have to pull a lever to fix a specific thing during that time or make a decision. And then that problem no longer becomes a problem that you have to fix the same problem that you fixed 6 months ago, but at a different level. So that's how I see it. And that's like the only thing that prevents you, quote unquote, from cranking ad spend overnight. And And also there's diminishing returns after a certain amount. So like if you're getting, let's just say you spend $5,000 and you make 40, that's like almost a 10x or an 8x. If you spend 50, you're not going to make 500, right? If you spend 50, you might make 300 or 250, right? So there's diminishing returns the more you spend, and there's a balance on how much you can spend profitably, where then it just becomes, it just goes down. And then that's when you have to look at other acquisition channels or other traffic sources or other stuff. So there's also that that you have to take into account.
You're
But
right.
for 99%, for 99% of people, it doesn't matter. Like to get to $1 million, like if you want $1 million net, which is 84 grand a month ish, it's like just with Instagram ads, you can do it. It's like it doesn't require a lot to get there.
Got it. And Josue, listening to another podcast of yours that you did earlier in the year, you're talking about how you're really focusing on SaaS at the moment, or that's sort of like the next chapter. Are you sort of doing all this juggling and then getting cash flow and then funding the SaaS and also juggling that? How are you maintaining everything? Is it better for you to just go all in on SaaS, or like, yeah, it's so much.
Yeah. So I have partners, obviously. My main focus currently right now is just marketing. So like that's what I'm good at. And bringing deals to the table. That's what I'm good at. I'm not product development at all. Like I just say, hey, look, we need XYZ, go do it. Like I don't want to hear from it until you do it. So I have partners that are in charge of that piece. Thank God, because if not, I would not be able to do it. But my sole focus only is acquisition and marketing. That's it. Just bringing deals to the table. The other partner, which is with Anthony, he handles the back end, like everything related to payment processor and the software and like integrations, and make sure that everything's solid, and product development and design and like handling the team and like all this different things that I don't want to do. That's what he handles. So
Got it. So you can literally just continue doing what you're doing and focus on those 4 levers, and that then leads into the SaaS product. So you don't have to, it's not an extra price, it's just everything's integrated.
correct. Exactly. So it's like my job is like, hey, clients or customers are needing XYZ, or there's a competitor doing XYZ. We should do XYZ, or improve upon it. And they're like, cool, okay, no problem. Let me just go develop it, or build it. So I'm not having to do product development. They're handling that piece. So
Got it. When it comes to all those 4 levers, like lead generation to sales to service delivery, is it possible, like, what's the process on hiring out someone that can just look after that role better than you? Like, as someone that you've probably done all 4 of those roles, and you've probably hired people for each one of those roles, and you're like, I can do all the things plus that one thing that they're focused on better than they're doing that one thing.
yeah. So that's depending on which role you're talking about. That's a tougher question. Like some are easy, some are not. For example, as a personal brand, you are in charge of creating content because nobody else can do that for you. That's just a fact. That's like the negative, right? But there's ways of leverage that. For example, you can create a bunch of videos just pointing to like this, or like this, or like this. And then your team edits it, chops it up together, boom, 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 and you hire a content marketing director that comes up with a copy to put up and stuff like that, right? For me, for example, I record once a week. My team sends it over in ClickUp. All the scripts are already outlined. There's a camera right here. I hit record. I read one line. I say it. I read the other line. I act it out. And then it just takes me an hour. I create 20, 30 pieces of content, send it over, and I set it and forget it. I don't do anything else. So like, quote unquote, organic lead gen and traffic, like ads, I don't run them myself anymore. I have team members that do it. So that piece of the puzzle is outsourced, if you will, by specific people that are handling that particular role. Sales, same thing. It's like first you're closing yourself, then you hire a closer, and you have a script and a process for that. Same thing. Delivery, I would say, is the hardest piece because people are coming to the personal brand because of you, right? So that will be the hardest piece to hire out. But as long as you have like a good EA, a good onboarding process, and if it's a digital product, a good system step-by-step course that teaches people whatever it is that they're trying to do, then it should be easier to hire out. I'm no longer involved in delivery myself, depending on the client, but I'm no longer involved. on delivery. It's like it's all handed off because it's a very systematic approach to the delivery that we do. So the beauty about it is that I am my own customer for me, right? So it's like I just build a system for myself, and then I'm like, okay, cool, like no problem. Like now becomes delivery. so I am my own customer, if that makes sense. So that helps on my side. But if, let's just say you're a fitness coach, you're really just pulling delivery wise, just doing three things. It's like meal prep, well, two things: meal prep and the workouts, and then just accountability. That's it. It's like just three things. So you probably just find three people in charge of one each thing, and then just a manager for those three people. So or something like that, right? But yeah, that's what I would say is just break it down into very simple action items or activation points where people have a specific result that they achieve on your process of whatever product or service you're selling. And then on each of those pillars of the offer, they just have specific people that are good in that one specific thing, and they just hire those. So that's delivery, I would say, is the hardest piece to offload. The other two are easier.
Interesting. So let's say you sort of sell like a high ticket product, a 10K product, and you sort of initially you did a lot of one-on-one calls, then you did group calls. You're still answering a lot of the nuanced questions that your students are asking. How do you automate and hire someone to do that for you? Because you're most likely going to have to find an ex-student, but then the ex-student is probably wanting to do his own thing because that's why he came to you in the first place. You can't really find an employee that knows about drop shipping or knows about Instagram growth or building an agency. Like that's your own knowledge, and someone that would want to go off and do their own thing.
Yeah. Okay. So like, give me an example, like a business model, like what niche? Like you said, drop shipping or e-com.
Drop shipping, e-commerce.
Okay. So what are the processes to find like drop shipping, like a profitable drop shipping store? You need to find a profitable product, a good creative, store, and a good creative. That's it. Those two things, right? Well, a supplier too. So like product and supplier, store, and launching the ads and running the ads. Now, after a drop shipping store is launched, how much time does it take to manage? Like 10K a month, not much, right? Not much. Depends on the business model, right? But the drop shipping example, to get to 10K a month, it doesn't take a lot of time to maintain it. Now to grow it, it does, but to maintain it, it does not. Now, if your drop shipping course promises that you get to 10K a month, then you just find a student that's making 20K a month, that's not taking a lot of their time to manage that store, and just pay them per student to teach back into the program, right? Because you're not promising 100K a month, you're promising 10, and you find a student that's making 20, that's already above the average promise, and just that student's probably not doing anything with his time anyways, so like might as well just make extra money doing the same thing that he's already doing, because he's managing the store, and as he's managing the store, he's just on Zoom telling people, hey, look, like this is what I'm doing, yada, yada, yada. And that's, he's just helping people with what he's already doing anyways. So that's an example on the dropshipping model or e-com model. Like I have clients that have an Amazon course. They're doing like 800 grand a month or $1 million a month. They do one-on-one coaching or kind of private, like semi-private. And they just hire ex-students. That's it. Like they just hire, not ex-students, students that are crushing it and that do the process and are making 10K a month from their Amazon store, because it doesn't take a long time to manage their Amazon store, and they have all this extra free time. Might as well just make an extra 3K a month or 4K a month working 1 or 2 hours a week. Why not?
Got it. And then what's like the best rate? Is it just to pay them like $100 an hour? So it's like $50 per 30-minute call with one of your other students?
So if they're super highly involved, I will pay them per student. So meaning like if they're 100% involved, 100% coaching them, 100 whatever, I'll pay them per student. If they're just showing up to a weekly call and not being very involved, I will pay them per hour.
Got it.
And then how do you figure out, like, when you sort of assign one of your ex-students a client, does that student work with the client for the lifetime, and do you pay them up front? Like, how does that work?
So again, it depends on if the student is handling the current student all along. So let's just say, for example, if they are, then I would just give them a percentage of whatever the sale is. So it can be like 5%, for example. If you sell 10,000, you give them 500, and that's for the lifetime of the student. Right? Now, if they're just showing up on a weekly basis, and they're just handling, I don't know, 20 students at a time and just answering questions for an hour, then just pay them for the hour. And that's it.
Got it. And then, like, is it smart to do something where it's like they get 50% upfront and 50% when they help that student reach the goal?
So I typically do it on cash collected. And then they're getting anyways the upsell, like a percentage of the upsell, because they're also handling the student on the upsell. I just do it on cash collected. So if you sell a $10,000 thing and you have 2 payments of $5K, it will be 5% of the $5K as is collected. So same thing as a closer.
Got it. So that means the student like doesn't even need to do any sales. You just hand him clients and he gets paid upfront, and then he works with the students for the lifetime.
Yeah, and he's incentivized too to make sure the student has success, because he's gonna get paid when they upsell too. So and they know that if they don't do a good job, and let's just say for example the student refunds, well, you got to refund your 5% too.
Yeah.
One thing I've been playing around a lot is using voice messages in the Instagram DMs, and like it's the reply rate is just way higher, but obviously it's not scalable. I was looking into like AI-Descript.com where you can sort of type out your voice and have VAs just to do it, but then it sounds a bit weird. It doesn't sound fully like me. What's your thoughts? What's the best way to scale out sort of DMs?
I would not do voice messages personally. So if you want to do that, then I tried it once. It was kind of weird, is you record it and then you save the voice note on your computer, and then the VA plays it and then records it. So that's like the only way around it. But that would just like, it's a one-time, like a one-off. So for example, if a new follower comes in, it's like, hey, super awesome that you're following me. Just send this voice message to welcome you to my page. I hope you get value because I'm a fitness coach. Let me know if you have any questions about achieving your fitness journey. Like a super general voice message that might work. What I found is that people just kind of know it's a general kind of thing. So it's like it does that. So I just prefer just setters, DMs, and that's it. You don't even need much.
Have you ever got it to work with like DMers from the Philippines, or has it always been the United States?
DMs.
No, not the United States, DMers. So most of my team is overseas, simply because I find that they care more, they work harder. I'm an immigrant too, so I like hiring people from Latin America as well. For whatever reason, not everybody, but a lot of people from first world countries are just entitled. It's like they don't work hard at all. They just like handouts, and it becomes an issue. What I found, and they're just lazy and soft, and they don't take responsibility, and like it's just we're living in a very interesting time. I'm like, bro, like you're making money from your phone. It's like, and sitting watching Netflix. It's like, what else? It's like, how can you be this much of softy little pussy? You know, it's like it doesn't. I do not understand it. So.
And then with the setters, as you sort of scale, you get your first setter, then the second setter, and then you hire the third one. Like, how do you sort of give them access to your IG? Do you just sort of give them the login and password and trust the new setter? And then obviously there's 2-factor authentication, but then once they're in, they could start accidentally deleting posts and stuff. Like, how do you sort of trust new setters?
So initially, one is I don't give, like, for example, I have a setter in Miami where I'm locally based. And he does have access to my full on Instagram account, like password. He has it on the phone, etc. But most setters don't. On Facebook, on Business Manager, you can have people get access to comments and DMs only, and they don't have access to anything else, just from the Business Manager itself, which allows you to just have a setter that's focused just on the DMs. And also Business Manager has tags, or Creator Studio, I think it's called, has tags where you can filter. Let's just say a follower comes in or a new lead comes in, you just tag it as a new lead, or book the call, you tag it as book a call, or existing client, you tag it as client. That way, when somebody DMs, you kind of know, or the setter knows who that person is. And also, if it's tagged the name of the setter, then the previous setter cannot just go and take the previous lead, you know? Because if you have multiple setters, then that becomes an issue. The easiest way to get around all that is just have hours. So because you cannot filter, like you cannot assign specific DMs to specific people and just have those DMs show up to that specific person, similar to like a normal CRM, right? Like distributing the leads. The workaround on that is just have 8-hour shifts. If a setter is working from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., the next setter starts at 5 p.m., 5 p.m. to so-and-so, and so on and so forth. That way, they just have a specific time zone, specific time periods, and they just work the leads, all of them, on that time. And whoever they book, they get the commission off in that time slot. So for example, if you're a setter and I'm a setter and you're working from 9 to 5, I'm working from 5 to whatever 8 hours is, to 1, then let's just say you're speaking to Johnny, Johnny's answering you, but you didn't book Johnny, or you didn't push the call, and I did, I get the commission. But then at 12 a.m. or at 1 a.m., I'm finalizing my shift. And then you're working 9 a.m. the next day. And I reply to Maria, and Maria is ready to book a call, and you pitch the call, then you get the commission. So it becomes a team effort, right? I work basically but it pays off, right? It pays off ultimately because you make commissions, and also I make commissions as well. But there will be some mixing of leads that you're going to work for me and I'm going to work for you. So that's another way to work around that.
And I can understand how, they'll start the shift, they'll go through all the messages that bump to the top of people replying. Do you just have so many replies where they can't get through that? Or if they do get through it, do they just scroll all the way down and look for old leads to message?
So in my case, it doesn't happen because in the last day I have 150 new ones. So plus all the other ones. So it doesn't really happen to me, but if it did, then yes, 100%. Like they're responsible to go through, like scroll back, DM, see previous appointments that they booked before, follow up with them, rebook them, previous clients that they're not longer active. Like they're responsible they just have to book appointments no matter what. And they know that they have the best assets, which is the influencers page to do so, because they don't have to build their own.
Got it. That is so freaking cool. I guess with the business, are you able to search up and message the people, or you can't do that?
Yeah, you can.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's insane. Another thing that you brought up, which was really important from the podcast I listened, was that the importance of having a surrounding, an environment. How when you moved to Miami, just being surrounded by the environment, the people, you instantly were able to make money. What's your thoughts on that now as you sort of grown, you're sort of now more independent, you probably have your own spot? Do you still want to live in like a content house with other entrepreneurs, or what's your thoughts now?
Yeah, I don't anymore. I have a girl, so it was a frat house. It was fun, but when you're like in a relationship, it doesn't really work. that kind of lifestyle. But I would say like 100% the environment plays a huge role. I still, quote unquote, environment wise, I still go out with the same people, same group, like different places. Like I always try to network with more people. There's in a month from now, like actually this week, Miami Open, right here in Miami. It's like I'm going with somebody who is a professional trainer from like Sarapova and like all these freaking tennis players, right? So like Ultra Miami Music Festival, same thing. It's like I always try to surround myself with the right people in the right crowd, in the right environment, because there's always opportunities that show up. In terms of what happened in the past, for example, like when I was working at a gas station, I left the job in July 2020, and I moved to Horses Nine Tower in Miami. If you Google it, a freaking car elevator is in your freaking apartment. It's like the most stupid, luxurious like thing you ever see. You could even film in the lobby, just so you know, because like the elevator is patented, so they don't want anybody filming. And there's like celebrities, Maluma, Anuel, like there's a billionaire there. Like there's insane people that live in that building. And I was living there with 15 grand in the bank. Like think about it, I live there and like I have 2 months to figure it out. It's like, and I don't want to leave. It's like the most stupid building I've ever seen in my life, with the most insane view. It's like, I don't want to leave. So shit, I have to show up. It forces you when you're put in those situations where it's like your environment allows you to excel. You see what's possible, but at the same time is you have to show up and demonstrate that you belong there and that you earned it, or whatever you want to call it. Because if not, you're out. That's what I would say about the environment. It's like, you're the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. Well, the rest of the 5 people are also thinking that. So it's like, if you're not contributing to that circle, they're kicking you out. So it's like, you got to show up. That saying sounds very nice on paper, but the part that they missed is like, everybody else is also thinking, I'm the average of the 5 people that I surround myself with. So they're seeing you saying, what does this guy bring to the table? Because I'm not going to let myself get dragged down because of this idiot that's not bringing anything to the table. So you better bring some stuff. And you're thinking the same thing of the other person. Well, selfish in nature. That's the reality.
That's so cool, Jose. What's your schedule like nowadays? What's your daily routine like? Do you just have your calendar like booked out? I know you have an assistant. That's how we sort of book this in. And you showed up on time. You just sort of follow your calendar, which is good. I know a lot of people, it gets backdated, but like, what's your schedule like now? And I know when you show up, you've had a long day already, so I appreciate you doing this. But what's your schedule like nowadays?
So, like, I mean, for example, with this one, I totally forgot about about it. And my assistant booked it, which I'm glad she did. But what I would say is the day starts for me like at 7:30 a.m. usually. Most days it ends at 6 ish. So 7:30, I start, wake up, go to the gym, whatever, come back. Workday starts usually at 9, and then meetings, work, etc. And then I work until 6. This is the last week of the month, or last week of even the quarter. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed with a lot of moving pieces, especially because I just came back from vacation. I took a 3 weeks vacation with no internet in South America. So I'm just came back and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. Today I'm working until 9:30. That's an odd day, if you will. But most times it's just from 9 to 6, 9 to 5. And I just like cut it off.
Do you schedule in holidays to sort of break it up? Because I'm sort of like, I've been sort of waking up at the same time every day, reading every night, meditating every night. I've been doing that for the last 60 days since the new year, and my body's starting to crash on me. Like, it's, my motivation is dipping, I'm getting more tired, I'm getting worn out. I'm like, what's happening? I wanted to do this challenge for the whole year, and I'm breaking 60 days in.
Yeah. So I would say is try to structure your day in a way that you enjoy it. You know, you got to work, right? And there's certain tasks that you know you need to get done. So do them first. But I would just say structure your day in a way, and your week in a way that you enjoy it. So for example, for me, I wasn't going to even go to Ultra this Sunday because I just came from a freaking 3 week vacation, but I haven't seen my friends in so long. And there was some good DJs going. So I'm like, all right, it's great. So I literally paid $750 for VIP for an hour. So just because I wanted to, hang out with friends and have a good time, and I'm glad I did. So I would just say structure your week in a way that you enjoy it, because ultimately you're the architect of your own life, right? So, but obviously also caveat, that depends on what level you're at. If you're like building from zero or like grinding mode or whatever, like screw your happiness and your balance and everything else. It's like you gotta just show up and work. But if you're like growing at a steady pace, things are good, etc., then I would just say, just do what you want, like do what you want. It's like, if you want to have fun, then go have fun. If you want to make more money, then just grind it out. Whatever is that you actually do want, then do that. But don't say you want something and do the opposite, because then you're going to be unhappy, or you're going to be frustrated, as you say. In your case, like structuring your day and stuff, I would just say be disciplined in terms of what you actually want, and then structure the day around that, and that's it.
Have you built like a structure like the 7:30 to 6 p.m.? Have you set something up where even if you've done that for 50 days in a row, you're still keen to do it and you haven't gotten sick of it?
Correct. Exactly. So that's what I was saying. It's like, for me, for example, what I realized is, this week is an anomaly, but normally, if I just work until 10 p.m., for example, or 9 p.m., I know, like what is it, Murphy's law or some law? Like time is malleable. It's like, if you have 3 hours to do something, you're gonna figure out how to do it in 3 hours. If you got 5 hours, you're gonna figure out how to do it in 5 hours. If you have a week, you're gonna delay it, procrastinate it until the end of the day or the last minute, and you're gonna figure out how to do it. So it's like, that's the reality. So that's the main reason why I just cut it off, because it's like, if I just keep letting it go, then ultimately I know subconsciously that I'm just gonna let it go until the last minute. That's how I was in college, and I have like more degrees than I would like, way too many. But yeah. So I always left it last minute, homework, studying for the tests, whatever, always last minute. And I managed to get good grades, and I was an A student. So I just been always doing that. So like today, it's like I force myself to put constraints on purpose, because I know that if I do, then I'm just gonna get stuff done faster. So
Got it, makes sense. Last question I'd love to get your thoughts on, Josue, the importance of personal branding and the importance of building content. How important is it? Like, I know that you've automated the whole process. You sort of do a lot of like the, looking up, pointing down, and you sort of create like this vault of content where your team can probably pump out 3, 4, 5 pieces of content a day, and you can upload 2 or 3 times on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels. And I've tried that in the past, but then these videos would just get 300, 400, 300. Maybe one video every week would get 10,000 views, and it was just like a numbers game, and it felt like it was going nowhere.
Yeah. So I would say before doing any of that, focus on one platform and crush it there. Right. So like, let's just give the example of somebody who's crushed that we all know, Andrew Tate, right? Right. So if you look at his model, he was number one personal brand. They talk about the personal brand on steroids, that, right? And then what he did was just go on massive podcasts over and over again. That's it. It's like over like different podcasts to say super polarizing stuff, right? And then just chop it up and upload it to Google Drive, and then just have a distribution network that just, right? So that's like at scale. For the average Joe, what I would say is focus on one platform, do it well, and just crush it there, right? And then worry about the next one. Because 9 times out of 10, you don't need 2 platforms. You don't need to be everywhere. Like I started doing that and I realized like, this is like way too much. I am like diluting my focus. And today it's mainly Instagram, because that's literally all you need to make millions and millions of dollars. And then second-handed YouTube, because I do believe that YouTube is going to eventually surpass my Instagram just because of the organic traffic and the SEO and everything else. But until then, Instagram is the main one, right? So, and then like little by little, you can start introducing more. But on Instagram, that's what I do. It's like Instagram main thing, film 1 time a day, and then I record once a week. And if there is a day that I didn't create content for that day, there's a vault that I have that I can always pull from. So that's like as a reserve, if you will. So yeah.
With Instagram, what's your biggest tip for growth in today's environment? Is it just 1 reel a day, 1 story a day? Just keep making better reels and 1% improvements with your reels every day, and eventually you'll consistently get viral reels?
Yeah, that's what I would say. And then don't try to depend on the algorithm alone. Like spend some money, like just boost it. That's what I would say. It's like, you'll be surprised that if you create a good, like when I mean a good reel, it doesn't mean like fancy editing. Like just take your phone out. What you say on the damn thing has to be good, right? That's it. And just put some captions on it. Make sure that you're not looking like you just roll out of bed. And that's it. It's like that. Instagram Reels is not really like complicated or complex. You can be pretty raw on there and it will work. So the main thing is like what you say needs to matter and provide some sort of value and have some sort of good hook in the first couple seconds. And that's it. And as long as you do that, you're good.
Interesting. Last question on Instagram. Right now, I sort of post maybe on my feed once a week or once every 2 weeks. On the Reels, I post every single day, but I don't share it to the feed because I want to keep my feed fancy. Should I break that and just start posting everything to my feed and just mess up my feed, and who cares if it looks nice?
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to do it then.
Because I've been
Think about it
holding
like this. Think about it like you're having the profile look nice for what purposes specifically?
I think maybe if it looks nice, then the clients that are DMing, it would have higher perceived value compared to when it's like all messy and there isn't a sort of, what's the term, like cadence.
No, it's the cadence matters based on what you post, because most people just consume the content on the feed and on stories. Like, where do you consume most of the content? Like, if you were to say something, when you open the Instagram app, what do you do? Like yourself?
Feed, stories.
Yeah. So like you don't go, like rarely you go to you're like, hey, I want to check out this profile. You go to the profile, I want to consume his content. Then you rarely do that.
Yeah.
So it's like, typically you just consume it on the feed, right? So it's like you mostly consume the content on the feed and on Instagram stories, then just post on the 2 places that people consume most of the time or spend most of the time. And then if you want to have the feed look fancy or nice, just make sure the thumbnails on the reels are good. That's it.
That's amazing, Jose.
Where can people find out more about you? Like, I learned so much. There's so many golden nuggets in this sort of podcast episode. Where can people learn more about everything you're sharing today?
So Instagram, obviously. They just feel free to DM me and just tell me you guys came from this podcast. I'm happy to send you. Actually, I have like this full guide. This is a full course that I put together. I sold that before for $700, and I'm happy to just give it away for free. So
Everyone, DM him. I'll put all his details in the links below.
it's call it grow your gram. It's like how to grow your Instagram, obviously, and then use it to attract high quality customers. Like part of the stuff that I shared Hager today, I shared it in there. Like the full Lady Boss case study is in there, like step by step, show improve, all that stuff. So it's very good. So
That's amazing. And it's at PENA. That's your Instagram. And you also have your YouTube that I've seen that you've been sort of doubling down on recently.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Correct. It's like Josue Pena or at Pena, PENA. And that's it. The reason why, by the way, it's at Pena is because most people can't say my name right or can't spell it right. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go for my last name, and that's it.
Was that hard to lock down, by the way?
It was 2019, I think it was, or 2018. It was a little bit hard, yeah. I got the handle and I got verified back then. Both. So
That's 4 letters are like it's rare. Not many people have 4-letter sort of handles.
yeah, it is very rare. Today it was I'm glad I made the decision. It was very expensive back then. So
That is so cool, Jose. I really appreciate your time today. I learned so much. I love how you're sort of in the roots. You sort of know everything. I asked so many different questions, and you definitely know your business inside out. And I love how transparent you are, and you want to really give value. And on top of that, I just love your trajectory. Like you're so open about your journey, about sort of crushing it in 2018, then working out as a cashier, and you're just so transparent with your story, and that's sort of what will help people, and that's so amazing. So I really appreciate your time today, and thank you so much for sharing everything.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate the time. It's always an honor. So yeah.
Awesome, guys. This is another episode of the podcast. If you guys made it this far, thank you so much for your time. Please drop a review on Spotify and Apple. Been reading all the reviews. Would love to get your feedback. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week with another episode. Peace.
Bye-bye.